Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Ganganasadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. This work that we are going to talk about is one of the most sacred dialogues because it happens between two enlightened beings. One is Ashtavakra, the other is King Janaka, which was Ashtavakra's disciple. So in it you will have a glimpse of the instruction of an enlightened being so that you can achieve liberation, and also the vision of how a liberated being stands, acts, what is his experience. So pay attention to these teachings, fill your heart with surrender, devotion, sacredness, because that is the way to enjoy it the most. May it blossom in your heart, may you also find liberation. Moving on, second chapter of Ashtavakra Samhita, verse 17, the joy of self-realization. Here Janaka continues to expose his experience of self-realization. I am pure consciousness. This is not repetition anymore. This is realization. Through ignorance, I have imposed limitations upon myself. Constantly reflecting in this way, I am abiding in the Absolute. So, I am pure consciousness alone, and through ignorance, I have imposed limitations upon myself. The realization that there's no one else, just I. So whatever limitations, apparent limitations are there, they were imposed by myself. Constantly reflecting in this way, I'm abiding in the Absolute. So here, this may give us, it's not very clear, but it can tell us that this is still ongoing, this process is ongoing, and this reflection that these are only apparent limitations that I've put on myself, keeps him abiding in the Absolute. Probably, or it's just a figure of speech. I have neither bondage nor freedom. Having lost its support, the illusion has ceased. So, the universe, though existing in me, does not in reality so exist. So this, I have neither bondage nor freedom, because bondage or freedom are from the perspective of the illusion self. The self which is under illusion, the individual self. The real self doesn't have these bondage or freedom. This means nothing, because there's nothing else beyond the self. So there's no state that the self can contemplate. This is for the ignorant one. And we will discuss at length through these verses, what is this ignorant one? What does it mean? And what's the importance of this? But here, He is talking from the perspective of the real self, not of the individual self. So I have neither bondage nor freedom. I am the Absolute. And all the universe, though existing in me, does not in reality so exist as the snake in the rope. It's just appearances, just an illusion. So this universe doesn't really exist, and this question of liberation, freedom or bondage is just to this universe, because the individual character exists in this universe, apparently exists, but they don't really exist. That is the highest reality. I have known for certain that the body and the universe are nothing, and that the self is pure consciousness alone. So on what is now possible to base imagination? So this is very good. I have known for certain through my realization that the universe, the body and the universe are nothing. Remember, that infinite ocean of light, of wholeness. There's no universe, nothing, there's just fullness. This really doesn't exist. And here he's talking about that realization, that which came with his realization, the direct perception of nothingness in terms of the existence of this world. So, when it is said that nothing really exists, that's really what it means. Nothing really exists. And the self is pure consciousness alone. So only the self exists, and it is pure consciousness alone. That infinite consciousness. Nothing else beyond that. And the universe doesn't exist. So this is very important. Because of all those imagination, like he is saying now here. So what is now possible to base imagination? Because there was a lot of imagination. I imagined to be this body, to be here, this and that. Then I understand by direct experience that nothing of this exists. So in what should I base my imagination now? That I've seen that nothing really exists. There's just that infinite ocean of splendor, of I-ness, just pure consciousness, nothing else. Body, heaven and hell, bondage and freedom, as also fear, all these are mere imagination. What have I to do with all of these? I, whose nature is pure consciousness. So, into the dream, in the illusion of the body, of a universe, there are fears, there is bondage, there is freedom, there's all of this. But all these are mere imagination. And how to base now all of this, how to give credit to them, if the basis of imagination has disappeared by direct experience that there's no existence into this universe, into this body and this universe. And what have I to do with all of these? I, whose nature is pure consciousness. I am that wholeness, that totality. I have nothing to do with the body and the universe. So what do I have to do with any fears or whatever? that are just imagination. And here it says body, heaven and hell, bondage and freedom, and also fear. So these are very different aspects. So body, of course, heaven, the highest spheres, the highest worlds, and hell, the lowest ones. Bondage, the condition of a jiva, an incarnated soul, and freedom, a jiva mukta, a liberated one. And of course, from the standpoint of the self, none of this exists. But from the perspective of the one who is under ignorance, this exists. Either you say it is or you don't, doesn't matter. But seeing the words of the liberated one, you should look upon the world in the same way, to all situations, not just spiritual ones. But we'll go into that. Oh, I do not find any duality. Even the multitude of human beings, therefore, has become like a wilderness. To what should I attach myself? So what is he saying here? He says that he finds no duality anywhere. And even in the multitude of human beings, even in the middle of them, therefore has become like a wilderness. Like he is always alone. But alone here doesn't mean that he is depressed or something like that. He doesn't see any duality. There's just oneness. So there's no one else. He is always alone. Even in the middle of the so-called others, many others, he is always alone because there's only oneness. To what should I attach myself if there's nothing else beyond me? So all these concepts, spiritual concepts, make a lot of sense in the illusion and in the sense of transcending illusion. Once it is transcended, it makes no sense anymore. I am not this body, nor have I a body. I am not Jiva, I am pure consciousness. This indeed was my bondage, that I had a thirst for life. I am not this body, nor do I have a body. I am pure consciousness. And this indeed was my bondage, that I had thirst for life. What is thirst for life? Thirst for life is in the perspective of the individual character that seeks to experience things through life in the quest for happiness. So this is the thirst for life that he is talking about. And this indeed was my bondage, because I was seeking that happiness through the body into the circumstances, diving in the illusion and feeding that illusion, maintaining that illusion by my own belief. Oh, in me, the limitless ocean, on the rising of the wind of the mind, diverse waves of worlds are produced forthwith. So in me, the limitless ocean, the self, on the rising on the wind of the mind of the Supreme Being, which I am, diverse waves of worlds are produced forthwith. So this is from the perception of the ultimate being, as the worlds are created. With the calming of the wind of the mind in the infinite ocean of myself, the arc of the universe, unfortunately for Jiva, the trader, meets destruction. So in the end of that cycle of these worlds, when they come down, when the winds of the mind which have produced the worlds, when that wind comes down, the arc of the universe, of all existence, unfortunately for Jiva the trader, meets destruction. The trader, the one that is trading experiences and all sorts of things for that happiness. So the Jiva here is it's shown as a trader, the one who is always trading for experiences, for happiness. So for him, his playground disappears, and this is unfortunate for him, because it is only in there that the Jiva has a purpose, an existence, and where he can, how do you say this, perform the dance of life for the thirst of life that was mentioned previously. How wonderful! In me, the shoreless ocean, the waves of individual selves, according to their nature, rise, strike each other, play for a time, and disappear. How wonderful! In me, the ocean of pure consciousness, totality, the waves of individual selves that are all me, all I, according to their nature, to their prarabdha, and according to other previous lives, and that mystery, rise, apparently appear, and strike each other, interact, play for a time, and disappear again into that ocean. So this was the verses about the joy of self-realization. And it will continue forward into different other chapters and goes more into depth about the experience of a self-realized being. Okay.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.